So I have made like no videos doing about my read or read this year, but I have been doing it, so I'm gonna go over just some like stats of what I've achieved, and more importantly I'm gonna go through the few books that I didn't do anything with and if I'm gonna keep them. So I think I'm gonna keep all of them and why, even though that kind of defeats the point of the challenge. So I had 100 books at the start of this challenge, and they were all written here. As you can see, lots of green, bit of red. So there was 26 of them that I DNR'd, did not read, and they all got rid of. Some of them I started, I got like a little bit through and then went nah, and some of them I actually just, when I went back to look at them, I went, actually I don't need this. A few notable ones was This Coven Won't Break, because it was a sequel. That is the reason I'm doing this challenge and trying to like decrease how many books I'm buying, is because my dumbass impulse purchasing bought a sequel to a book I had not read and do not own, and looked at and went, actually I'm not that interested in owning. But it was £1 off at Forbidden Planet, so I had to have it. And then there's other stuff like that I've had for like ages, like Look Who's Back, which was Hitler coming back, and I'm like, I got through it and I was like, I can see how this would be good, not at this time of my life. And that kind of stands true for some of these as well. I've either grown out of that phase or I'm having a really shitty year and I do not need this misery in my life. And most of them were books that I could replace. I got rid of it. And I'm like, if I really wanted it again, it will turn up in the charity shop again, because that's where I got most of these. The only one I didn't read but decided to keep was a book called Rathe. It was a like very niche, I got it from Waterstones in their like secondhand sale section, but it's actually a self-published book. There was only like 200 printed, so I'm like, if I want it, I won't be able to replace that. So I did keep that one. And it possibly shouldn't have been on my read or read for that reason. There's a couple here that like I haven't got to that I will be keeping, because I'm like, it shouldn't have been there in the first place because I wouldn't be able to get rid of it. So having said that, 26 did not read. 67 of them I did read, and of those 41 got decluttered, and that's a mix of like, I read it and I went, cool, I don't need this anymore. Some of it was rereads of like books I had when I was a teenager and I thought I'd aged out of, but I just wanted to have another go and see, does this still like resonate with me? Do I still need to keep it? And a few of them actually I went, I do want to keep this still, which is why I wanted to reread it before I made a decision. Sorry about my, like, if there's redness there and I keep like, I'm breaking out with spots. It's been a chaotic year, and that includes chaos on my skin. But 41 were decluttered. Some went to friends, so I found some which was like, cool, I've read it, it's good. I have a friend who will really like it, and then they'll probably want to get rid of it. And that was really what I was hoping for. Of them, there are 7 books I did not get to at all. And I'm going to go through those now and whether or not I'm going to keep it. The first one is Haunted by Chuck, oh god, I can't say his name. The Fight Club guy. I've read Fight Club before because I love the movie. It's true what everyone says. The movie is better than the book. He even says it. I'm going to keep it because it's like short stories and I think that's really like something I would be into. But I am tempted to say if I don't get to it this year, next year, 2026, I will get rid of it. Not sure yet. Next one is another one where I didn't even try. But it is a self-published one of this really niche little thing called Look Up Books. It's this guy who makes like his own like weird conspiracy theory books where he thinks the world's gonna end. I have another book that wasn't on my read or read that it's a similar sort of thing. I don't know why I end up picking these up. I know why, because I'm a hoarder who's just like, weirdness. But I'm not gonna get rid of it because I won't be able to replace it. So again, it shouldn't have been on my list. Another one that shouldn't have been on my list because I can't replace it is An Absolutely Remarkable Thing. My friend read it, I lent it to a friend and he absolutely loved it. Actually, I recommended it to a friend and he got it from the library because he was too scared to read this copy because it is a signed copy. And I had a really nice story like of how I got it. Basically, I was going to go to the event where it came with a signed copy. I realised I couldn't go to the event that day, and I messaged the Nerdfighter, like London Nerdfighter group, and said, hey, free ticket to whoever wants it. All you've got to do is get the book to Joe. A guy called Joe was also going to the event, and he was working in the same library service that I was. So I messaged him and said, hey, this person's going to give you a book. Stick it in the skip that gets books delivered, like, round. Send it to where I am so I can get my book. And he did. And it was just like this nice community feeling. So not just the fact it's a signed copy. I have, like, recently decluttered some signed copies of books I have, even books by Hank and John Green, because I just don't need them. But the fact that this comes with, like, a story of community, it makes me happy. So I'm going to keep it. And eventually I will read it, because I am getting more into sci-fi, like bigger sci-fi stuff. And I have the sequel as well. This is one I am keeping as well, because I didn't get to it. This I bought at the same time as this one. And I do not remember buying them, because I was so badly, like, out of it and just losing my mind. But this is like a haunted house story with a trans person, and it tells me tell me I'm worthless. I've just had a really shit year, and I didn't want to deal with anything heavy or too dark, so that didn't get read. This one I might get rid of. Oh, another signed by the author, but no story associated with, which is The Rabbit Factor. When I bought it, I'm pretty sure my only reason for buying it was I was dating a guy whose nickname was like Rabbit or something, and weird headspace. So, what's the blurb of this one? Insurance mathematician knows the answer because he's calculated everything down to this decimal. What makes life perfect? Yeah, I think I've read the blurb for this several times and been like, oh, that sounds good. I don't know if it sounds good enough to keep, so that probably will go. Then we came to an end, which is the end of a business and all shutting down, and people coming together about it. It is a very much a me sort of book, so it's one I'm tempted to hold on to. I kept starting it and just stopping it though throughout the year, so which is kind of like why I did this, was to let books go. But Chris Shop might be clinging to his ergonomic chair, but I might cling to this book just for a little bit longer. And another one that shouldn't be on the list because I don't like getting rid of old stuff is The Charmed Circle. I picked this up relatively recently actually, so fancy people, blah blah blah. Yeah, so probably shouldn't have been on the list. So altogether actually, there was only 4 books that really should have been on the list that I didn't get to, and I think I will let one of them go. But considering the fact I've had job chaos, lost some family members, just really, I've had months where I barely read, and 100 was insane to start with, and of those 100 I did not expect to have to read. Not have to read, because I didn't have to read any of these, but I didn't expect to go through 66 of them. I kind of expected a lot more of giving myself permission just to let things go. But a few highlights. I read The North Child, which for over a decade, that's when I first came into my knowledge. I picked it up as a blind book for from the library, and it just said magical and winter, and I opened it and I was like, oh, this looks really cool, and then didn't read it, didn't even touch it, didn't even try, and then picked it up from a charity shop because I was like, oh, I remember this book, didn't touch it, didn't even try, finally read it, probably a little bit too old for it now, but I really enjoyed it. So that's one I read and I kept, and I got to read some not classics but historical stuff out of genre I would normally read, like The Reader and The Door. I'm trying to see if I can find out who The Door is by, because that's the one which people might not know the author to. No, can't find it, never mind. Anyway, that's just a little short video about what I achieved. And I am pretty proud of myself, considering February I did absolutely nothing for my read or read, because I had loss and stuff, and I've had chaos this year. I learnt to knit, which did eat into my reading time. I just keep going through reading slumps, but I've still somehow managed to read 115 books this year, so 66 from this. Pretty much everything else has been from the library because I read a lot of library books. Yeah. Next year I will not be doing read or read. I've set myself a different challenge of trying to read like more non-fiction and some classics and stuff. So it's one non-fiction each month, one philosophy book because I like philosophy and just never read it each month, and one classic each month. So a little bit less structured because when looking at my stats, because I put them all in this book and I colour code what type of book it is. I haven't done the last few, but you can see blue was read or read, yellow was library, and I do have like one or two other ones which were like new books or borrowed books or books I already owned but weren't for read or read. But even so, it is so heavily those two colours that it's actually, yeah, it was very, it was nice having structure to my reading, like having a very small list of what I could pick from. It meant like I didn't have as much decision paralysis. So I have printed out like options of what I own of classics, philosophy and non-fiction. But it's but yeah, a lot less structured reading. That's pretty much it. Bye!